Nestled just outside of Birmingham, it's Barber Motorsports Park, a haven for drivers looking to get their technical racing skills, even learning how to drive their Porsche, either on track or on the road. This 2.3-mile circuit's already caused some challenges for some drivers, but others it has rewarded them with some of the best results they've had so far this season. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jeremy Scott alongside Joe Peak. Joe, this is one of those racetracks to where if you get it right, it feels extremely rewarding.
It does, and it's very hard to get it right, honestly. A number of the drivers have talked about how hard it is around here, especially starts in the first part through turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, where you've got a couple swift corners kind of intermixed with the Alabama roller coaster where it just has tons of elevation change. Then it'll dump you into Charlotte's Web where the drivers will see most of their passing opportunities into there. And once you go through Museum Corner and manage to survive the plunge, the blind plunge through that, then it picks up on the back half of the course, taking you all the way to turn 13 over the tunnel. And then it finally slows down a bit into the final couple corners, and that will take you a lap around here at Barber Motorsports Park. But it's one thing to narrate it, it's a whole nother to actually be in these cars and drive it.
Well, I'm excited for this race because we saw how action-packed the Cayman race was earlier on today, and these GT3 drivers no matter where they are, as we see on our YouTube and Flow Racing feed, the cars sitting on pit road. For those of you at the track, we encourage you to tune into us on YouTube or Flow Racing if you do have that subscription, as we welcome each and every one of you to day 2 of the Children's of Alabama Grand Prix. We've seen some exciting action with IndyCar, Indy Next, as well as the USF Juniors, and now it's time to start the first race of the weekend for GT3. 991s and 992s, 3 different classes we're watching. Let's go over them real quick with the starting lineup. Jared Thomas, your pole sitter, alongside Efren Castro. He is joining us this weekend with the Children's of Alabama paint scheme. On row 2 was Ashley Freiberg. She's looking to improve upon her great finishes at Sebring, alongside her 992 rookie, Paul Bocuse. In row 3, it's Scott Blend, your fastest 992 Masters driver, put in his lap earlier on in the session alongside Joel Johnson in the 227 Rainmaker Masters Porsche. In row 4, it's Rob Walker in the 253, easily identifiable by looking at the Herbie the Lovebug paint scheme, and Peter Atwater with a great showing here qualifying on row 4. Row 5 is Jody Miller alongside Conrad Geis. Geis looking pretty quick here in this race. Also John Gilliland, you'll see him in a cow-themed 992 alongside Charlie Peter. Charlie Peter in the 991 class, he won both races I should say, last year. Teresa Lelou, the West Coast standout. She's making her debut full season in the North America class, followed by Frank Vitiello.
Then we get to row number 8. Mark Bowden is going to be starting in 15th with Jake Peterson starting next to them in the number 16. Then it gets to row number 9, Niels Meissner. The next one down, second in the 991s, Daniel Ammon, going to be starting next in 18th position. Shane Leathers starts 19th today. Tony Melito will begin next to him there on the outside of row 10, with Mike Mim beginning with all of his plethora of Porsche racing experience in 21st, Willingham in 22nd. From there, you've got John Manship starting 23rd. 24th goes to Kia Ketty. Alessandro going to round out that 12th row. Eric Lapp will be starting in 25th, and the number 220, Patrick Womack, will start in the 26th spot. Chris Sewell starts 14th, or in the 14th row in 25th, with 26 going to Craig Conway, who is expecting a few cautions in this one. We'll see if we get that in the end. Thomas Erb will be 25th, with 26 going to Gregory Shermer as well. And then from there, the last driver on the field going to be Francisco de Jesus in the number 911. Jeremy?
Well, the first of 2 pace laps is being complete, I should say. We'll see the field pair up here shortly. And, of course, you and I have had a chance to talk to John Maskey, our race director, and Elliot Forbes Robinson, the driver, Stewart. And both of them, they've really had a tough time, especially with the Cayman race. And both of them are really hoping to have a cleaner race in the GT3. And even during the drivers' meeting, it was quite interesting to hear what was being discussed.
Yeah, exactly. The qualifying definitely caused some issues to be discussed for sure, but it sounds like they're well on their way to figuring out what's the best way to address that. And regardless, we did get pretty much everybody able to get a lap, and it was just the beginning of that qualifying that kind of created a bit of confusion out there. But now it's time to get to the racing itself, as we see Efren Castro on our YouTube feed in the 265 weaving to get those tires up to temperature. It's been a beautiful day out there. Very sunny, so I'm sure that's heated the track up some, but I really am glad that the fans have gotten to enjoy this beautiful Alabama weather.
You know, when I looked to my left over here, I see the fans taking part under the canopies here. I look across from us. Not many of you have left, which is fantastic. Great to see that you're taking in some of the best Porsche sprint racing in North America. We thank you very much for watching. Lights are out on the pace car, so we'll start to see those rows pair up 2 by 2 as we'll get going here momentarily. A lot is going to happen here in these 35 minutes plus 1 lap. Real quick, if you're looking to see where your favorite driver is and what class they are in, the black number board on the side of their door, that means that they are a they are a 992 Pro-Am driver, 49 or younger. The blue number board is 992 Masters for drivers who are 50 years or older or turning 50 of this year. And the red number board, well, that is for the 991 class. And you'll see the 991 class intermix with the 992s, and that'll be pretty interesting to see here as the field comes down the front straightaway for the first time, side by side, down as they look towards the starter. Patiently waiting, nice formation as the field comes down. Once again, green flag is out, and look at Jared Thomas once again getting a great start. Paul Bocuse and Ashley Freiberg falling in line. It's Freiberg in third. 2-3 wide at the back is we're seeing plenty of action early on in this race, side by side. No, and we do have a waving yellow in turn number 1.
Yeah, I thought I saw Lulu dive it in hard down into turn 1. Didn't see what happened because she disappeared over the crest into there. Hopefully, they all made it around the other side as they come down into turn 5 now. Thomas did not wait on that start. He went as soon as he got to the restart zone.
Well, Freiberg trying to get a hold of Castro there, and whatever the incident was at turn 1 has been cleared. They're side by side in the 991 class back there, but nonetheless, we'll see who the culprit is of our car that went off hopefully shortly as the field works their way into the turn. And yeah, it looks like Lulu was the driver who did, actually, it's a 281, so that would be... I'll have you check that out while we take a look at the field working their way. Wow, Jared Thomas opening up a huge gap. So he's taking the pressure that we thought he would have early on, and he's not running with it right now as he's opened up a big lead coming through the back part of the circuit.
Not able to track down the 281 here on my list, so we'll try and dig that one up a little bit later. Already completing lap 1. Thomas really stretching things out. Castro is a 2-second gap behind after just 1 lap completed. Freiberg, though, is hot on his heels, hoping to see if she can step 1 more up on the podium.
Well, Lulu looking pretty racy already. She's up to 11th. She is literally in between Charlie Peter and Niels Meister, and they're racing in the 991 category. So that's Lulu with a great start there. But we did talk to her over the track walk, and she was really excited to see who it was and to see this. I think it was Peter Atwater, actually, the 261. So our apologies there.
Also, need to mention that Scott Blend is still leading our Masters, doing a fantastic job up at the front of that. He was very hyped about having that pole position in his class and seems to be making good use of it.
Yeah, he really was, and Meister having someone to play with is quite nice. Actually, before here, I ran into Charlie Peters' uncle, and they've got a whole fan club, at least 10 people here for Charlie's race. So great to see them come out in numbers to support their driver. A little bit of dust kicked off. It looks like Shane Leathers may have been the driver in the 275 who took at least a couple wheels off. So no harm, no foul there. Shane running with a different driver coach this weekend. It's cult legend Tommy Bird. Great to see him at the track. Always love conversing with him, but Tony Kester's regular driving coach kind of out a little bit. So, Tony, we're thinking of you, buddy. We miss you here. And get back to Austin. We've got to sit down over some barbecue, although, we could do it any time at home. But nonetheless, Jared Thomas, look at this lead that he has, 3.2 seconds after 2 laps. It's Thomas, Castro, Freiberg, your top 3 overall in a program. And look at Bocuse trying to get back into that podium spot. Castro holding them back just a little bit, but Castro also is joining us this weekend as a Carrera Cup driver running for the Children's of Alabama paint scheme.
Exactly, and definitely that those last 2 steps on the podium very much up for grabs, trying to be decided between 3 different cars currently. As we mentioned, Castro, Freiberg, and Bocuse down there. Scott Blend, the one behind him, is in a different class, so he doesn't necessarily have to get involved in that fight as long as he's not feeling under the threat by Joel Johnson, who's the next one down in the 992 Masters.
Well, saw faster position overall. Charlie Peter trying to gap himself from Niels Meissner. Peter around Geis heading into the turn. Geis with a great showing as well, sitting in the top 10 so far this race. Half hour remaining.
Peter mentioned that he was mostly wanting to try and keep a few cars between himself and Meissner to act as a buffer, since the 991s and 992s should not really be competing for any sort of points out there. They can act as sort of a shield for him, because as long as he has that car between them, obviously he's not going to be able to overtake that 166. In fact, Meissner looks like he's lost now even more ground because of Peter being able to overtake Geis.
Freiberg doing all she can to try and get around Castro as they head into turn number 5 down the front straightaway. She's looking to the inside, not able to make anything happen, but Castro backing up into the 222 of Freiberg as they go down into turn number 5. That's about the closest battle we can see with our eyes going through right now. Freiberg running the special 50th anniversary Mobile One paint scheme. She'll be doing that all season long for MDK Motorsports. Nice little pass to the inside there. That is Atwater on De Jesus. That's the 28th. Now he's setting his sights on the fall line drivers. I talked to them over lunch, and they said, a lot of us haven't raced here, which is kind of surprising that a lot of them have not raced here. Mark Bowden, I think, the only one with the most experience there, but they do have a plethora of experience around them, whether it's in Porsches or any other kind of car. In fact, Tom Herb is the only driver, or first driver, I should say, to win in the SCCA GT1 National Championship runoffs in a Porsche.
Interesting. I did not know that, as the 222 is once again looking on Castro down into turn 1 this time. She's been trying to distract him as best she can, but can't seem to shake him off the racing line. He's been stuck to that traditional outside entry to every corner, even as close as she's been getting at times.
Well, of course, they're running about the same lap time, so it's interesting to see that go through. And, of course, what doesn't help is if Castro lets Freiberg through, well, she's got her teammate in Paul Bocuse, the rookie here in 992, to let through as well. Bocuse really stepping up this year in 992. Of course, he is the defending Cayman Pro-Am champion, and he really showed his worth here in the past couple of races at Sebring.
Certainly did, and both of them, of course, champions racing in the same class now, graduating from theirs before, as we watch from on board the 248 there on our stream, heading down into Museum Corner. Looked like he didn't manage to make a pass that he was attempting down into there, so stays behind as we watch these drivers now get into the first 10 minutes of this race. They've really settled in, so it's good to see that everybody's managing to get some laps on the board. But I wonder at what point some of the patience starts to wear thin for those that seem to be stuck behind their rivals.
Well, Scott Blend leading the Masters class in 992. I don't think he's really going to be too pressed for time. Gilliland, though, he's got to hold off Peter for position overall, not necessarily in class, but this is going to be an interesting battle here as you're watching on our live stream how Freiberg can get around Castro. She's got to work him and try and make him overuse his tires, because at this point, Joe, that's probably going to be the only way that she's going to get past.
Yeah, and it's been interesting watching her try for sure. She's doing everything she can, and I thought I saw some side-by-side going through Museum Corner just there. We'll watch and see what order they're in once they come back into our physical view here out onto the backstretch. But it certainly looked like someone was losing patience there amongst them, and I believe Bocuse may have just snuck by.
All right, so Bocuse sneaking by. Also seen a battle between Craig Conway and the 279, Shane Leathers and the 275. That's 418. So Bocuse already taking the lessons that he has learned at Sebring. He's going to take them and use them at Barber. Now, a lot of these drivers have already come to test because we really haven't had much practice time here at Barber Motorsports Park as we take a look down the stretch. Bocuse has fallen back into the clutches behind his teammate Freiberg. Freiberg, a standout driver of her own right. She's the defending 991 champion. She's also had extensive open wheel experience until MDK Motorsports basically said, hey, why don't you come race with us? And that's been a partnership ever since. She's had great, fantastic partnerships. She's had a great driver coaches. So Ashley Freiberg doing the most of this opportunity here.
I'm impressed that Paul managed to get that one done down into Museum Corner before. It's not easy to make those overtakes, but Ashley's making sure that he can't run away quite yet. Also, what's interesting about that is that if they finished as they are now, it would be the exact same podium we had in both races in Sebring, which would be Thomas, Bocuse, Freiberg.
Well, there was
without Castro, I should say.
Wasn't McIntosh P3 in one of those races too?
Not according to the results, I thought. Oh, no, he did get it one.
Yes.
Excuse me.
He did get one. No worries. I was looking at my notes. I'm like, wait, did I do something wrong? Or, nonetheless, we're watching great battles all throughout the course. Now that everybody's kind of felt their car out so far, because this is the latest that we've seen these cars run at all. Yesterday, we only ran until about 12:30 in the afternoon. So this is the heat of the day for some of these cars. And, of course, a lot of rubber's been laid down throughout the day. We have several different compounds. So these are the last cars. The track's greasy. Let's just admit that because it's hot right now. 38.9 degrees Celsius. So, Joe, I'll have you actually, if you can real quick, convert that to Fahrenheit as we're seeing Jared Thomas with a 10, almost 11-second lead across the line over Efren Castro. But Castro doing all he can to make sure he stays in second place, because once that door's open, got a couple other drivers that will go right through.
We're just over 100 Fahrenheit on the track surface right now. So, yeah, the sun has been pounding away at it. We've had a pretty nice sunny day all day, and that adds up, especially with the racing almost going nonstop. Gilliland looking like he's about to be overtaken by Peter in the 991.
Yeah, Peter with a nice move around the outside heading into the museum turn, but Gilliland going to try and go side by side. Yeah, he gets the move done. Let's see if he keeps that move up ahead. Those two have been battling all race long. That's for 8th place. As we see on our screen also, Patrick Womack trying his best to hold on to his position. He's in 23rd place. Chris Sewell, 202.
Yeah, Sewell not racing in the same class as Womack, as Sewell is running in the Pro-Am. So Womack won't want to try and hold him up too much, but mostly, more than anything, just not want to lose time himself. So if he can hold his racing line, and he's under no obligation to allow Chris on through. That's kind of how this works, since those 992s, the Pro-Am and the Masters, are the same car. It is just a difference in driver classification. And while they have probably some ego on the line to try and finish in a particular order by the end of the race, like I said, just no real pressure to do that. Also, apologies. It looks like I think I was wrong. Ashley is still ahead of Paul Bocuse right now. I thought Ashley was in the full or black, gold, and black car.
Well, you know how here's how I've been translating them. Bocuse is the anti-Ashley Freiberg because their colors are swapped.
Yeah.
All right, so we're still watching this battle for second place. On our screen, we see Tony Melito with some good showing here in 5th place. Oh, nice little pass on the inside going through Charlotte's Web. But anyway, back to Chris Sewell. This is his first pro race. and he's got some great help behind him as well. He's mainly run WRL. And we're seeing a lot of these drivers come up through WRL. I remember when the series started, and it was just a series, okay, you could get started. Well, it's still a series you can get started, but it's where you learn racecraft. And I think that is fantastic that they're doing this. Champ Car's also doing this as well. So it's not just, oh, you need to go to SCCA, you need to go to NASA. No, you can go basically anywhere and learn racecraft and come into a series like this if you have the wherewithal to do it.
Yeah, motorsports is so interesting because it's not like regular stick and ball sports where you play something in high school and then you play for college and then maybe you get hired by a pro team or recruited by a pro team. I mean, there's a million different ways that you can go about progressing up the ladder in racing. So seeing more and more kind of offer those opportunities to grow and dip your toes in definitely helps the sport. As it continues to try and develop, even though it's been around for a lot of years. And
we got one in the wall. Looks like Geis that is off in turn number 5, and he is back underway. So easily, wow, amazed that he was able to get through that gravel trap because that is a deep gravel trap, but he is back underway. Conrad Geis was doing quite well, and then basically looks like he just spun.
Yeah, I was looking at the tire tracks. He must have gone across the first apex of Charlotte's Web.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
So much speed that he went backwards through the gravel into the tire barrier and still drove it out of there. So that car must be a tank.
Well, of course, that's look at how many times we've seen cars kind of get a little swirly going into turn number, into Charlotte's Web. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that, where cars are just breaking loose right there, just past the 100 marker, but no harm, no foul for Geis. He's back underway. This lead, though, that Jared Thomas has, 13.3 seconds at the line. Oh, by the way, he set the fastest time of the race at a 24.969. To put that into perspective, Joe, last year's pole time by Riley Dickinson, a 24.888.
Also on our stream, we're seeing shots of Efren Castro once again, who still remains in second place and has been doing just as good of a job as Freiberg has, trying to defend on Bocuse because he's got 2 cars breathing down his neck. And again, his is such a great story because of him trying to take up the torch for Children's of Alabama and try to kind of raise awareness and do what he can to bring them to the forefront. I know they already have quite a presence here at this race, but as we said, with us streaming this online as well as on Flow Racing, that plenty more people can at least get the message.
Watching the battle between Gilliland and Peter, also between Meissner and Bowden. Those are out-of-class positions, but nonetheless, Peter really doing quite well. He's coming off of back-to-back wins in the Touring 2 class in the most recent SCCA Super Tour race at Hallett. And if you know about Hallett, you know how tough a place it is to win there, let alone twice. So it's great to see that he's making his rounds. We talked to him before the race, as you said, as Greg Shermer moves over for Jared Thomas. Pulling lap down. Battle for position. Oh, Bocuse decided to get out of the brakes just a little bit earlier than Freiberg. Freiberg going a little bit deep. She's got her sights set on Castro, but also watching your teammate there at the back. Back to what we're talking about, though, with Peter. He was excited and nervous at the same time, even though he is a double defending winner of this race last year in the same category.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear him talk about the nerves because he came out and looked very, very strong, managing to out-qualify the man that basically dominated in these 991s. So Peter, I guess, remaining a bit humble and maybe realistic so that he doesn't get too overconfident. And so far, he's managing it well. Still has Lulu between himself and Meissner to separate those top 2 in the 991 class.
Well, when your dad is Hans Peter, a foremost club racer, a great racer in his own right, and your driver coach is Merle Swan, he's done a couple of things. Won some Atlantic races, won some Atlantic championships, run at Pikes Peak. It's hard not to get overconfident. So we're still watching this battle for third place, I should say, on our screen as we go to Frank Vitiello coming across the tunnel. Well, I've got my eyes set on this battle for third. It's for the bottom step of the podium between Bocuse and Freiberg. Bocuse going to try and look again. Freiberg taking more of a defensive line into Charlotte's Web, and he's close, but not as close as he was earlier. So I think Bocuse may have unlocked a little bit. They're only running, Bocuse running just a little bit faster than Freiberg, but you got a wily veteran and a young driver trying to come up and try and show that he can do something. Problem is they're both running under 110 and have one driver coach.
Yeah.
and it's a driver coach who's also won a couple of them all, 24s. So
Exactly. I mean, high stakes there, but as much as you want to beat your teammate, you also don't want to take them out. As we're watching Meissner once again just ahead of Lelou there on our screens for a brief second. Ahead of Bowden, rather, I should say.
Let's go over the top 10 real quick. Jared Thomas with a pretty much dominating lead. Well over 15 seconds over Efren Castro in the 265. That's Ashley Freiberg in the 222. Paul Bocuse fourth in the 271. Then it's your 992 Masters leader, Scott Blend in the 245. Rob Walker, the 253, sits at 6. Seventh goes to Jody Miller in the 210. Eighth is the 227 of Joel Johnson. Ninth is the 298 of John Gilliland. And 10th is the 166 of Charlie Peter.
So we're now down to 15 minutes left in the race. We're past the halfway mark of this event. We keep seeing that Ashley is leaving the door open down into Charlotte's Web, and yet Paul's not sending it in quite yet. Either he doesn't believe he's got the grip to try and throw a pass attempt, or again, because they are teammates, maybe there's a bit of, let's play it cool for now. We can fight over the position later. Right now, they are behind Castro, who's probably the bigger fish for them. And I'm sure they'd like to try and get a chance to overtake. And if they start fighting, they're only going to drop back.
And they need to hook up so they can beat Castro, because while he's just a guest driver, he's still earning valuable points that both of those drivers need for the championship. And, yeah, while they're letting Thomas get away, they still need to look at the bigger pictures. Jared Thomas laps Francisco de Jesus to complete yet just another lap. They have the bigger picture here is the points have got to spin over there. I believe that's...
Is that Geis again?
I think that's Geis again, the 297. That's Eric Lapp, actually, with the spin.
That's a bit of a strange one because that's on the exit of the corner.
Oh, no, it's not strange. I've done that before, and
well, I mean, maybe he goosed it a little bit too
hard. No, that's
hard.
not a good re-entry. Oh, almost took out the leader. Now he's
got the hazards on.
He's stuck now. He is sitting halfway across the track as he gets that car off the track now and underway. That'll be an interesting meeting with the driver steward on that one. And I wouldn't want to strike the ire of EFR. I've done that once, and we've both had a laugh over it.
Well, he'll at least be able to continue here, but Lapp is probably now far down the order for how long he was sitting there stationary. We'll wait for our timing and scoring to update to figure out exactly where he wound up.
Well, we actually talked to Eric Lapp and his driver coach coming around the track walk on Thursday. And they were going over a lot of things, and Lapp is kind of green to this circuit as well. So he's a PCA winner at Laguna and High Plains in the GTD2 class. So he's a race winner, and of course, if you know about Porsche Club of America, it's tough to get a race win sometimes. So it's when you do get that win, it's kind of refreshing.
The PCA is huge.
Yes.
So there is actually a lot of talent there. Yes, it's kind of an amateur level racer sort of thing, but because there are so many, there's maybe some undiscovered talent is how we shall say.
Yeah.
To be good enough to take wins, you really need to be fast. Once again, we're taking glances at our battle for third between Freiberg and Bocuse. The MDK teammates still nose to tail. Hard to tell if they're formation flying or if they're actually legitimately battling out there to decide the last step on the podium.
Well, here's my question to you. Now that they don't have Scott Blend to contend with, is it a case where you go on the radio and you say, okay, tell Paul to hook up with me, or have Paul say, hey, let Ashley know let's hook up and try and get Castro.
Well, I'm pretty sure Paul's probably on the radio saying, "I'm quicker. I need to get around, if anything," because I mean, he's looked like he's just breathing down her neck this entire race, and still has not been able to make the pass. So I'm kind of curious what would happen if they did swap places, if he would run away, or if it would stay as is and they would just kind of be running the same pace. I don't know that they're really all that concerned about blend in there because. Again, Scott is just in the Masters category. So even if they get past, it's not going to be a problem. They'll lose the next one down in 5th in Pro-Am.
Yeah.
And she's a long ways back. So they could actually, honestly, even if Blend was on top of them, they could let him go and not worry.
And, of course, Mark Kwame, which I did finally meet today, I don't think that I can't see them issuing team orders. No. I'd imagine it's more like Chip. Race, but don't screw it up. Chip
exactly. I think that's what the situation likely is, which would probably make Paul even more frantic on the radio asking if he can get by, if, they would do something like that. Although I have a hard time seeing Paul being agitated of any sort. He's young. And yet he's very cool and collected, kind of shy as well.
Yeah, in the times that I've dealt with him, he's shy, but he's got that quiet confidence about himself. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I could see that. But nonetheless, about 10 minutes plus 1 lap left to go. It's still Thomas, Castro, and Freiberg 1, 2, 3 in the 992 Pro-Am, the 992 Masters. It's Blend, Walker, and Miller. They're 5, 6, and 7. And of course, Jody Miller in the 210 trying to get around Rob Walker for that second place in the Masters class. Then in 9th place is your 991 leader, Charlie Peter on the 166. Got to go back to 11th. Niels Meissner is second place in 991. Then you have to go to Tony Melito in the 127. He's 17th quick. And really fall line for drivers who have not... Oh, Paul Bocuse actually did get around Ashley Freiberg. Not sure where that happened, but
it happened before this last lap because they crossed the line and it's showing Paul in 3rd. And our timing updates at the start-finish line here. So, yeah, maybe on the last lap somewhere either Ashley had a hiccup and he snatched that up, or maybe he finally got aggressive enough that he went for a move. I'm just noticing we've got the surface flag over coming into turn 5, and I'm not sure what that is for exactly.
So there's some debris there that's sitting on the center track, and that's just been kicked offline, so that may not be out for much longer. Not sure exactly what it is. It may have been a big chunk of rubber, but it was big enough to warrant a surface flag. If the camera can look at that when Chiacchetti goes past, you'll be able to see it right there, offline, just offline. Now, yeah. So there's something big there. Some drivers would call that a boulder. I call that just a little bit of debris, but nonetheless, it's still big enough to warrant a surface flag regardless. But back to my point with fall line, for them not having been here, they're doing quite well. In Shermer, trying to bat. Looks like Jake Peterson did not take the start, but regardless, Shermer running some competitive lap times as well here in the closing stages of this race. 8.5 minutes left plus 1 lap.
A bit of a shame that Jake didn't even get to try on this first race. Not sure what happened that prevented him from getting out there, but we'll try and dig up that info a little bit later, as he's another young up-and-comer out there racing. Watching on board the JDX number 248 here.
Yeah, Jake signed a deal with Kelly Moss to run in Carrera Cup and Pilot Challenge. He'll be teamed up with Kay Von Berlo in Pilot Challenge. So that's going to be interesting to see that pairing all together. As you're watching Therese Lelou doing her best to keep Niels Meissner away from her. She's trying to get that top 10 finish here. Lelou, tied for 6 in points with David Musial. He's not with us this weekend. He decided to go race another series, but I did hear from the Musials that they both will be with us at Austin. Speaking of Austin, Joe, I'm excited for the extra race that we're going to have. So we're going to join the West Coast Series is going to join us. And we're going to have a new championship introduced at Austin. It is the Endurance Championship.
Indeed. They'll have some longer races for those, as the drivers have wanted an opportunity to do that. Not just the drivers, but the coaches as well, because with endurance racing comes driver swaps. So they'll get to share the car with those that have been guiding and giving them speed over the course of their careers. And I'm looking forward to that, because we'll also get to see a lot of them, as we've said, who are pretty talented drivers, some of which we've been fans of since we were kids, be able to get out in the car.
And I'm hearing some pretty exciting names as well. They're going to take part in this series. Drivers who, as we said, are coaches. They're winners in their own right. And it's going to be interesting to see some of these pairings. I can't say all of the pairings that we've heard, but we've heard that Tristan Vautier is going to join us with Chris Hutter. There's, let's see, who else have we heard that's been pretty big, especially in this class?
I was going to say, is Spencer Pumpelly?
Spencer Pumpelly, yes, he told us that he was going to be racing,
that'll be fun.
or at least talking about racing. So that'll be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to see who runs with who. Oh, guess who has run down Efren Castro? It's Paul Bocuse, and he just ran his fastest lap of the race at a 25.7. Now the games begin. Our eyes are on turn number 4 here at the broadcast booth as we see if Bocuse can try and make something happen between he and Castro. Castro, as you said, Joe, he's been running the same line lap after lap after lap. That is why he is a 2-time Carrera Cup champion. And now he tries to find a little bit of breathing room as Bocuse capitalizes on just a little bit of a wiggle. The Jesus off-course drivers left in turn 4, but now Castro going off his line to try and defend from Bocuse.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. I think there was just a small bobble in turn 5 down into Charlotte's Web that caught out Castro, and that's allowed Bocuse to get dangerously close to try and make an overtake. Unfortunately, from turn 5 to the rest of the circuit, it's really hard to try and get by somebody. And that does answer my question on whether or not when Paul managed to get by Ashley, if he would be able to run away. He has. It's not by a lot. She's still behind by a little less than 3 seconds. But what's interesting is that he does seem a little faster than Efren as well.
As we'll watch him come around the final corner here shortly down the front straightaway. Castro about a 2 to 3 car length gap between he and Bocuse. Bocuse closing in through the turns as he just breaks just a little bit later as we see a battle for position. I don't know.
That's Gilliland and Miller, I believe, fighting for 7th, and that is for the podium.
That's for the bottom
step
of the podium, yeah. So we'll watch that come around down the straightaway as they go nose to tail. Also, Charlie Peter wants to play as well. He's going to go to the inside of the 250
of Conway.
So that's a car that's one lap. So Craig Conway, you said, also has raced here before in
different meat machinery.
What is now Pilot Challenge, and I actually did some digging because I had to think about that for a second. And he raced with somebody who I hope would come back if he's listening, the one and only BJ Zacharias.
Yeah, he raced here in a Mini, of all things. And his first comment, when he said that was a little bit different. Also, by the way, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
the track's still the same, but I don't think you can really go.
15 years?
I don't think that the experience is probably still fresh enough for him. So
has it? No.
Yeah.
Because that's when they had those record. That's when they had those record numbers in Pilot Challenge.
It was 2009.
Yeah, 2009, 2010, where they would have 70 cars. Don't say that.
Castro. I'm getting old.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just getting wiser, I think. Castro trying to take a defensive line on Bocuse. So now we're going to see how Castro can defend from somebody. He did his best with Freiberg. Now he's got to defend a hard-charging Bocuse as they come down turn 4. Watching on the screen as he's doing his best to hold on to the MDK driver, Bocuse. In his first season in 992 machinery, has really proven to be a quick racer.
And he's part of the Porsche Junior program as well. So a very bright future for him for sure. I've noticed now that's the second time I've seen him get very, very close down through Charlotte's Web. I suspect that is where Paul is quicker, but it's at the apex that it looks like he keeps gaining on him. And that's not where he wants to be faster. He wants to be able to get inside him down into the braking zone.
Well, I know that they'll have a debrief and a download with their engineers and their driver coaches, Jan Magnussen, probably going to coach him on how to get around here just a little bit faster, because Jan in and of himself has been he's raced around here as well. He was talking about the last time he was here in Grand Dam competition, and he's like, it was just hot, because remember they used to run those Rolex Series races in the summertime, not during the NTT IndyCar Series weekends.
Yeah,
which is always rough. But here we may have had a spin over there right by where our hospitality area is. My lovely spotter just texted me, and I got I don't know what corner it was. I don't know the car numbers, which there's action. Let's just say there's a lot of action.
You need to hire a new spotter.
Don't say that. Remember, honey, it was Joe that said that, not me. Efren Castro, though, he's still holding off Paul Bocuse there for position. Of course, laying back and wait in case something happens where if some of them decide to take a weird move. Well, that is actually going to be Ashley Freiberg. She's in fourth right now overall, but if something happens, she can sit there and pounce. Scott Blend, still your Masters leader, as we're just about ready to notch off one lap to go. And I think we'll see that white flag next time by, as the 296 of Jared Thomas clicks by the start-finish line. So white flag next time by for our leader. And really, once again, Jared Thomas dropping the hammer. He is a two-time and defending champion in MX5 Cup.
Yeah, we had to wait for them to come across the line to get the time. It is 20 seconds that Jared Thomas has put over the field, and that's within 35 minutes that he's managed to lap. That is, something around 3/4 of a second per lap on average, quicker than the nearest car?
And now he's laying off. He just did a 26.4. His best lap was a 24.9. That is mind-boggling, but this battle for second place still rages on between Castro and Bocuse. If Bocuse wants to do something, he does not have much time. That's one thing that a lot of drivers we talked to said about this facility. It's hard to pass. Getting to somebody's one thing, passing them is a totally different story. As Bowden trying to go around the inside of Lelou, that's for 8th place. And Bowden was kind of little shy about his chances, about what he could do, but really, he's taking that fall line number 246 to great heights. He's right now third in the Masters class.
Also, we're watching whether or not Peter and Meissner were going to have a battle, and unfortunately it never really came to bear, as we get the white flag now. So last lap of the race, but the 991 category sees Charlie Peter definitely put shame to Meissner.
Yeah, here's the thing. Jared Thomas is in Coleman. Everybody else is here in Birmingham. That is how much of a gap that he has had on the field, as you see him on the screen. He's just making a Sunday drive out of a Saturday evening race. So getting ready to make his dinner plans as they come around to have one final lap. But we're still watching. Bocuse with a little bit of a wiggle coming off of turn number 4. He's a little too far away. Had that bobble not happen, I think that Bocuse may have made something of Castro coming around, but he doesn't have many chances. Hopefully he won't make a move out of desperation, but Bocuse is smarter than that.
He does have a little bit of lap traffic in front of him. I don't know if they're going to catch it in time, but that may be the thing that offers up an opportunity. However, if you are Jared Thomas, you are probably smiling ear to ear, because he's got about 2 corners to go.
He really does, and it's been a dominating fashion once again for Jared Thomas, but Greg Shermer was that lap car that came into play. Eyes are on the start straight as checker flag is out. The lights are flashing. Jared Thomas is your winner in 992 Pro-Am. as it is a dominating flag-to-flag victory for the driver out of Indiana. As we see some of the other Masters drivers. Oh, no, is that Geis again?
That might be Lap again.
That might be Lap again. Lap and Geis have both the same amount of cars. It's a 7 on the end. It's a 297. So, yeah, that is Lap. So, apologies to Geis.
Turn 5.
So, Lap is coming around. I'm trying to find. Oh, we just missed the battle for second place. Castro ahead of Bocuse by 1/10 of a second. Oof. Coming down the straightaway soon should be Scott Blendon. Here he comes. Lights are flashing for him side to side, saluting his crew. He is your Masters winner in 992. Second place goes to Rob Walker. Jody Miller finishes in third. And you don't need any nerves anymore. Coming down the front straightaway, Charlie Peter makes it 3 in a row here at Barber Motorsports Park. Talk about a dominating drive for not only Jared Thomas, but Charlie Peter in the 991.
Yeah, that really wowed me. I thought it would be a bit of a closer fight out there while we're waiting for Niels Meissner to come back around and take the checkered flag behind him for second place. I can tell you that Scott Blend's win also is definitely a feel-good story. I mean, he is the nicest, sweetest guy. We've talked about how he's always trying to bring other drivers up and into the fold of motorsports, and for him to take the win, I know he's going to have the biggest smile on his face.
Well, in fact, too, I talked to him earlier on the weekend, and he looked at me, he goes, you know, I kind of hope that you interview me for a good reason. And, Joe, that's a good reason.
Yeah.
He's pretty good as well. So, Jared Thomas coming down pit road as cars for the final time coming down to take the checker flag, and Lap is the final car to take the checker flag. Let's take a look at your top 10 real quick. Jared Thomas extends his points lead once again with Efren Castro taking second place. Paul Bocuse finishing in third. So he's got a second and 2/3 so far on the season. Ashley Freiberg was fourth. Scott Blend in the 246 round out your top 5. That's Rob Walker, the 253, Jody Miller in the 210, Charlie Peter in the 166, Therese Lelou, what a fantastic story there. She finishes 9th, and Mark Bowden round out your top 10. Joe, this has been a fantastic day of racing, a long day of racing. In all series, we've seen a lot of action, but tomorrow is the big day. We've got Indy next race. The NTT IndyCar Series has the Children's of Alabama Grand Prix. And then we've got our races to round out the weekend.
Exactly. Race 2. Now the drivers have gotten one under their wing, and they need to come back and try and make up for it. And one other good thing that we can mention about this one, knocking on wood, no cautions in this race.
Well, for those of you watching on the live stream, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you tomorrow right around 3:15 p.m. Central Time. For those of you who are here at the track, keep in mind that first session is at 9:15 with NTT IndyCar Series final practice, and then the Indy Next race gets off at about 10:15 with the pre-race ceremonies for the Children's of Alabama Grand Prix around 10 to noon, with the green flag right around 12:40, 90 laps around the Barber Motorsports Park. So once again, for everybody here at Barber, drive safe if you're leaving us. If you're going to be staying here, enjoy yourself, because there's no better time camping at the racetrack than when you're there. For all of us here, for Joe Peak and the entire Barber Motorsports Park facility, I'm Jeremy Scott. Thanks for being a part. Thanks for watching the live stream. We'll see you tomorrow.
The 991 class, first place is car 166, second place is car 152, third place is car 127, fourth place is car 161.